Well, I had two moments. The first time I thought Bitcoin was unique, I thought it was a scam. The second time I thought Bitcoin was unique, I thought it was the most important thing on earth. So the first time was in 2016, 2017. I was sitting smoking cigars actually with my best friend in London. And we were like, this thing is a scam. This has to be a scam because our background is traditional assets, gold, real estate, equities, et cetera, et cetera. So we bought 20 Bitcoin each. And in 2 weeks, we're sitting in the exact same spots and the price had doubled. And we thought we'd paid for 6 months of great cigar smoking, so we should sell. And we sold our entire position. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, was when my second Bitcoin is unique moment happened, where I realized it was the most important thing on earth. I was walking around the park like a moron, listening to the Bitcoin Standard because somebody that I really respect had now become a Bitcoiner, and he said, "You need to listen to this book, then we can have a conversation." And so I was listening to this book, and Saifedean mentions the idea of stock to flow, and having a gold background, the idea of stock to flow made sense immediately. And I, in that moment, realized I had fucked up. And so that was my second moment of Bitcoin is pretty unique.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense to me. I remember having a specific moment. For me, there was a long journey when it came to learning about Bitcoin, but I remember the moment that it clicked for me, the importance, and it was the humanitarian argument of understanding, oh wait, this isn't just an inflation hedge. This is for everyone, because most people don't have banks. I remember that moment. I remember where I was. So for you, it's stock to flow. Okay. Very interesting. It was a stock to flow. So now here
Just
we
the
are.
idea, just the
Yeah.
idea of stock to flow, right? I'm not talking about the stock to flow model, or this was before that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the idea of stock to flow being applied to Bitcoin made me realize that I was fucking up because I was looking at Bitcoin like an equity when I should have been looking at it like a commodity. And
Got it.
that instance, at that point, 16 years of experience just sort of aligned up like the Matrix, and I was like, oh damn, I messed up.
Well, at least you figured it out, right? So from that moment, you started allocating into Bitcoin, and I'm assuming now it's your largest position. I don't know if you talk about percentages or whatever, but I'm sure you're
Yeah.
you're all in with Bitcoin, and that's your worldview, right? So
Yeah, my portfolio is very simple. The way I like to maximize my ROI per se is 50% of the portfolio will be the core underlying position, which in this case is Bitcoin. Um, you know, a, a certain percentage, out of the other 50% will be a layer two return generating position, which for me is publicly listed mining companies. And then the remaining is a higher leverage, higher risk layer three, which for me is derivatives on those mining companies. So basically, the highest risk has the lowest allocation, and yet it's the highest return if it all works out.
yeah, and all three of those layers still Bitcoin exposure, but just at different levels of
Everything is
risk.
Bitcoin. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the overall portfolio is macro Bitcoin, and then it just depends on how much return I want to generate and how I allocate.
yep, yep. Okay, so that moment for you was the stock to flow as viewing it as a commodity, not an equity. If I'm someone that like you, let's say I'm your friend now, right? You mentioned how your friend became a Bitcoin. You said I have to talk. Now you tell me I have to learn about Bitcoin. I have to talk. What's your 2-minute pitch for me as why should I listen to this book? Why should I study Bitcoin? Why should I start going down this rabbit hole? What's
You
your main
know,
pitch? Is it the commodity equity debate or is it something else?
I get this question a lot, like especially on different podcasts. Like, what's your elevator pitch for Bitcoin? And my response is very, very simple. It's like if you don't realize that you have the single biggest problem known to humanity, which is every single penny you're earning is being stolen from you without you even knowing it. You don't have more than 2 minutes for that. I don't have time for it. So you better come with time. I'll explain it to you. I'll spend hours explaining it to you, but it's not a 2-minute conversation because we're talking about your money. We're talking about the very issue that's gonna allow your children to carry on your last name in this world. And if you don't give a shit about that for more than 2 minutes, then I can't help. Go watch a TikTok.
I love it. The elevator pitch is that it's not an elevator pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. So, okay, so then I've watched some of your YouTube videos and I've seen you on Twitter all the time. You have a you do go on for half hour plus for people. For those that have a patience more than the length of a TikTok, right? So the main things it seems you focus a lot on the scarcity of Bitcoin. You focus a lot on the upwards trajectory of price, probably with the ETF and everything else coming down the line, BlackRock, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What are those main three buckets then that you do spend that time in? And what else do you focus on for people when
Yeah.
it
I'm
comes
glad
to
that
that?
you're taking the time to learn about Bitcoin's potential future value, both in terms of political currency units and on society as a whole. And I'm really glad that you're taking the effort to study and educate yourself about Bitcoin. However, I must make this message incredibly clear. If you are learning about Bitcoin, you must begin also learning about self-custody and taking possession of your own keys. This is really, really important. You can watch as many YouTube videos as you want talking about how Bitcoin is going to skyrocket in fiat price and how number is going to go up. You can talk about that all you want. You can daydream about this kind of vertical spike action for Bitcoin. You can daydream about this all you want. But my encouragement to you is that this is not a meme. This is not something to be taken lightly. We can think that this is a good thing, and it is a good thing ultimately for Bitcoin's long-term adoption, but this is real. Okay, this really happens in countries. You know, it may not happen in your country for some time. It may happen in a stair-step fashion, but this is not a meme. This is not a joke. And so, therefore, you need to take self-custody really, really seriously. Okay. I work full time in self-custody solutions for people. I help people set up their multi-sig vaults. I help people set up their estate plans. I help people with a collaborative custody partnership and collaborative custody models. Okay. This is a chart of the amount of interest we have at the Bitcoin Advisor, the company I work at. Okay. This is not me personally. This is the whole company. We've been in business 7 years. Not a single client of ours has ever lost a single sat. Okay. We have a good number of clients, and this is our demand. My point in showing you this chart, my point in showing you this message right now is that it is increasingly urgent, increasingly important that you begin taking self-custody very seriously. I'm telling you, I'm on the inside of this all day, every day, 6 days a week, and demand for self-custody is skyrocketing, okay? The kinds of clients we have, the number of clients we have, the conviction in the clients we have, it is only going up, okay? And people are booking meetings with me weeks, okay, in advance. In some cases, over a month in advance. And we are in bear market, okay? That chart, this chart right here is from October 2023. Okay, bear like incredible low interest globally in Bitcoin, and our demand is still skyrocketing, it's still spiking. And my encouragement is that if we have a bull run, if we have parabolic spikes such as this, where Bitcoin goes rapidly upwards in terms of price, if we have these periods of time, okay, transaction fees are going to spike. Okay, exchanges are going to halt withdrawals. Okay, people are going to panic. They're going to smash by any price. Okay, it's going to be increasingly difficult to have any time with people to help you in your self-custody setups. So first and foremost, whatever you do, whether you work with me at the Bitcoin Advisor, whether you go somewhere else, whether you figure it out on your own, whatever the case, please start figuring out self-custody, hot wallets, cold wallets, cold wallets, single sig, multi-sig, whatever you do, just start figuring it out now, because I'm increasingly alarmed by the number of Bitcoiners that do not have self-custody. So please, if you have any Bitcoin self-custody, but especially if you have a large amount of Bitcoin in self-custody, please start taking this stuff seriously, because it's only going to be increasingly important in the future. And so if you like to work with me, if you like to hear my opinions, perspectives, and ideas on this topic, you can find me at the Bitcoin Advisor. This is precisely why I work at the Bitcoin Advisor, because I believe this is such an important topic here, okay? You can find me there. You can have expert guidance on how to self-custody Bitcoin, to buy, secure, and store it properly for the long term. We can have tailored strategies for you, what your long-term vision is, both for yourself, your own individual future, your retirement, and for your future generations as well. Again, multi-sig vaults, estate plans, all of these things for you, okay? You can just book a free meeting with me here, and the link down below in the description. Again, the first consultation is completely free, where we can talk about your priorities and see if there's a value add both for you and for the Bitcoin Advisor as well. And again, our goal is to help you have generational wealth for you and your loved ones and your children without losing sleep, okay? And that's why not only do you get a free initial consultation, but you have dozens and dozens of pages of education about multi-sig, self-custody, how to store your Bitcoin properly, things to avoid, things to pursue, okay? Again, dozens and dozens of pages of free education for you to be learning about this increasingly important, increasingly urgent topic, okay? And then you can learn further about the Bitcoin Advisor and why we provide much more value for half the cost of our competitors. You can learn about all this and more in that link in the description, where you can book a free consultation with me at the Bitcoin Advisor. So again, whatever you do, whether you work with me at the Bitcoin Advisor or you try to figure it out on your own, please just start taking action now. Because in a couple of years, higher and higher net worth people are going to be entering the space and demanding self-custody. Okay, more and more companies, more and more charities, more and more pension funds, more and more churches, all these things, all these groups of people, all these entities are going to be coming into Bitcoin very quickly, and they'll be willing to pay the transaction fees. They'll be willing to pay whatever fiat price and get for their sats. They'll be willing to do the self-custody as fast as possible. And so my encouragement to you, again, I'm glad you're enjoying these videos. I really appreciate you subscribing and commenting and being a part of these videos and increasing your Bitcoin education. But please, please, please do not stop at the end of this video. Immediately after you watch the end of this video, please start taking your self-custody seriously, whether that's with me at the Bitcoin Advisor, again, link in the description, or it's on your own, whatever the case, please just do it.
I think it's extremely important right now for people to understand where you are in the life cycle of this asset, because the next leg of this life cycle is going to price out low single-digit millionaires at this point. We've already priced out middle class, right? Middle class person trying to buy Bitcoin at $60,000, $70,000 a coin. They've had a really good moment in this bear market, but really they're priced out. Even $30,000 for the average middle class family is tough. If Bitcoin goes and surpasses $150,000, $200,000, you've priced out low single-digit millionaires, because if they've got their wealth in real estate, which is what 90% of those people have, it's hard to go and sell a bedroom, right, to buy Bitcoin. And so then you have to deal with the emotions of liquidating a full property portfolio, which is a whole different discussion. And I've had all of these discussions with my parents, with clients, with everyone. So I know what these discussions are like. I know how emotionally charged they are, especially amongst families. So, it's tough. So my main focus is understanding where you are in the life cycle of this investment, understanding why scarcity is important, and understanding what's going to happen to price. Because, to me, the person I'm speaking to is not the person who doesn't have any money and needs to save. That's not who I'm talking to. My purpose of my YouTube channel, the purpose of me coming out here, is to talk to my parents, who are people who have immigrated into the United Kingdom, spent 35, 40 years doing the right thing that they were told to do. And at this point, their property portfolio that they've sacrificed for because they thought it would be the right thing to do for their two sons should be worth 50 to 80% more because of the amount of money printing that's happened that hasn't been absorbed into real estate. So my purpose is to help the person who has money, who has wealth, the 500,000, the $1 million, the $2 million and up. The benefit of social media is everything I'm saying, the person with $10,000 in the bank can also listen to it and benefit from it. But my intention is to help the people who are the millionaire next door that don't understand that they're getting railroaded by doing the right thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I fully agree with what you say. One of the big criticisms that Bitcoin in general, but one of the ones I see the most is that, oh, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million or $20 million or $100 million a coin or whatever, most people will never own a whole Bitcoin. That's never going to happen. And it's like, my response, I just don't understand. It's like, we're already there. Just like your point. I think top 1% income globally is what, 55, 60,000 USD
30,
after
30 something.
yeah, 30, 40 even. I mean, I think it depends what, if you're including who you ask, but yeah, that 30 to 50,000 easily is top 1% income. And it's like Bitcoin already is greater than in terms of USD, it's about 35,000 US dollars at the time of recording. It's like it's already greater than the top 1% annual income. And of course, if people only have a 10%, 30% savings rate, well, then it's already like 5 to 10 years of savings for a whole coin. And so it's like, yeah, most people are never going to own a whole Bitcoin. And then it makes perfect sense because there's only 21 million Bitcoin. Most of those are lost. Most of those are HODLed. It's like there maybe like, so then this leads to a question. How many whole coiners do you think there'll be? I think there'll be less than 500,000. I don't think there'll ever be more than 500,000 whole coiners. I'm curious what your guess is.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say sub a million, depending on how, people react to the ETF and how quickly retail reacts to the ETF. But I would say sub a million. But the type of comment that you're talking about, to me, I call them $1,000 net worthers, right? Like, I don't give a shit what they think. If you don't understand how financial markets work, you don't understand how assets work, you don't understand how scarcity works, and you want to make a comment like, oh, there's never going to be, everyone can't afford a whole Bitcoin. You're $1,000 net worther. Get out of my face.